$129 repair, that's all it needed to get this Cadillac SRX running perfectly for me. If you've been following my videos, you know that I paid $2,000 for that Cadillac SRX, found out that I had a leaking brake line and a bad transmission. Hey everyone, my name is Craig from Flying Wheels. Welcome to flipping $400 into a Ferrari in under 12 months. If you guys have been following along, welcome back. If you're new to the channel, let me give you a brief update on what we're doing. I originally started this business years and years ago with just $400 to my name. And after turning over car after car and building a brand and a name for myself, I now own everything I have here. So instead of building a business and starting from ground up, what I'm doing now is starting with just $400, and I'm gonna buy and sell cars until I can afford a Ferrari of just that original $400 investment. We've had some hiccups along the way, but things are going around fairly smoothly, and you're getting to really see what it's like owning a car dealership, the good and the bad, all the good stuff and all the headaches that come along with it. So again, I originally started with $400. I bought a 2002 Chevy Malibu for just that $400. I sold it for $1,200. I then bought two cars, a Honda Accord and a Mercury Milan. I paid $600 for the Honda Accord, $600 for the Mercury Milan. I sold one for $1,200 and another for $1,800. After the Accord and the Milan, I went to the auction. I had some hiccups. I bought a Cadillac SRX that wasn't shifting right. And I was right. It has a transmission issue. Cars in drive. I also bought a Chevy Equinox that had absolutely no reverse. It's a real bummer because it's pretty nice otherwise. Now that's where you get to see what owning a car dealership's really like, because not everything's gravy. It's not always easy. There are a lot of headaches that come along with this business. So I took a loss on the Chevy Equinox, and after I sold the Chevy Equinox for a loss, I ended up buying a Trailblazer, but not just any Trailblazer, a Trailblazer SS. And here we have a reconstructed title, Trailblazer SS, that is absolutely beat up, but this is going to be a really, really fun project for us. So today I'm going to give you an update on the Trailblazer SS, because that thing is coming along amazingly. I'm going to give you an update on the Cadillac SRX because it turned out to be pretty good news. So here's the video, let's get started. So you'll see the SRX behind me, and it came with some headaches. And really, in this series, in this saga, I really just want to focus on turnover and moving things quickly. And I'm not going to replace transmissions. I'm not going to do a lot of heavy lifting. So if it means I'm going to take a loss on a car to move forward and keep progressing, that's what I'm going to do. So I ran this Cadillac through the auction twice, and both would have been a significant loss. So at this point, I thought it might be worth maybe taking it to a transmission shop and having them go through it. And this really proves why you need to take cars to the pros, to have them give you a second opinion instead of just deciding what's going on for yourself. So Cadillac officially did not sell at the auction twice. I was just going to see what I can get for it and maybe run it through and take the loss and move on from there. That way I can keep moving quickly. But two times it did not sell. I mean, like $1,000 bid, I can't take a $1,300 hit, and that would just set me back to negative basically. So I'm at the transmission shop. I'm going to drop it off here, get a quote to see what's going on with it. So I was strolling through the auction the other day, and I spotted that thing behind me. You might look at it and think, what's with that ugly Trailblazer behind you, Craig? There's a lot more than it looks. Let me show you this thing. And here we have a reconstructed title, Trailblazer SS, that is absolutely beat up, but this is going to be a really, really fun project for us. So this right here is a 2006 Chevy Trailblazer, but it's not just a Chevy Trailblazer. While I was at the auction, I noticed these right here. Those are louvers to a Trailblazer SS. So I thought to myself from afar, Craig, if that is what you think it is, that's a 390 horsepower SUV with a Corvette engine in it. So I bid on it, and I bought what I think is the cheapest Trailblazer SS, almost 400 horsepower SUV in the entire country. Well, we're still at the auction here, and you can see that obviously all the wheels have been replaced, which is sad because the wheels that go on this thing are actually really, really nice 20-inch 6-spoke wheels. It's pretty dirty. It smells like an animal in here. It's rough. And sadly, it has cloth seats, not the leather seats that are optional in this thing. And here it is. Cloth, though. That's kind of a bummer. It looks really basic Trailblazer in here. Now, you all know the game. Let's see if it starts. That's a good sign. It starts. It runs. What lights are on the dash? We have a brake light and a traction light. Now the big question is, does it move? Well, it ran through the lane, so obviously it moves a little bit. But every one of these cheap cars that I don't get to look at before buying is a gamble, because like Forrest Gump says, you never know what you're gonna get. And I don't know, but I think I paid $1,900 for this car. The engine alone is worth $1,900.
You're back from Flying Wheels, right?
I am, yeah.
I watch your videos all the time.
Thanks a lot. See you later.
See ya.
Appreciate it. Now that I'm driving this thing, I do notice something kind of neat. This isn't just a standard Trailblazer steering wheel or even just an SS steering wheel like the Silverados. This is a Grant steering wheel. And you can see it's actually kind of like a race fit. It's ergonomically fit to my hands. We just picked this up. We haven't done anything to it yet. What? But we have some good things in the works. Cloth SS? Or should we have gone leather? We can find leather seats or just stick with cloth. I don't know. But we have some really bad news. I figured out why this thing has a reconstructed title. Check this out. The undercarriage is pretty solid. I mean, you have like normal surface rust, but this doesn't even look like New England rust. It's like dirt and stuff. Well, yeah, there's rust, obviously. But the big thing is right here. That would be the frame. And that's not a rotted frame. That's completely solid. It looks like it hit something and gouged the frame wide open or something, and it's never been repaired. That's a weird, weird spot to have a hole in the frame. We now have to do frame repair too.
1 week later.
Now on a car like this, the transmission isn't serviceable. There's no oil pan that I can drop. There's not even a dipstick that I can actually check. You have to check it by a computer, and even the transmission fluid has to be injected in. That's not stuff we can do in-house. So I opted to take it out of the auction and bring it to a transmission specialist and have them go through it. After just a few days, they called me and said it was 5 quarts low because the transmission cooler line was leaking transmission fluid. And we weren't able to check the transmission fluid because it's a closed unit. It's only something they themselves could do. So after they told me it was 5 quarts low, they repaired the leak and they also injected the 5 quarts of transmission fluid. Bingo, the thing shifts perfectly. Starts it, that's a good sign. Let's see if there's a delay in shift. Oh my goodness, it takes right off. This is, sometimes you win some, sometimes you lose some. Let's drive around the parking lot and test it out. Now we still don't have any brakes because one of the brake lines is blown, so I have to be careful with it. But it is shifting perfectly. All for the low cost of $129, and I was gonna sell this thing for a loss. Lesson learned, it's worth taking it to the professionals to get a second opinion, because here I am driving it around without an issue. Now how about reverse? Beautiful. Gold. $129 repair, that's all it needed to get this Cadillac SRX running perfectly for me. So after a couple of drawbacks, I finally have some great news. I'm back in business with my flipping $400 into a Ferrari in under 12 months. Now this car still needs some work. It needs 2 rear tires because they're absolutely bald. We ended up replacing some brake lines because the pedal was going right to the floor. It was dangerous to drive. So I'm not gonna do the tires. I found some weird welding on the frame that I didn't want to fix and I didn't feel comfortable selling to somebody else. I'd have to take it to a frame shop to have them repair it. And even still, you have to announce that it has frame damage now because there was some rust or something going on that I really just didn't want to sell to a consumer. So now I'm gonna run it through the auction again to see if I can get more money now that it's shifting smoothly and there are no brake problems. So I ran it through the auction. I ended up getting $2,500 for it. $2,500 minus the fee will put me about $2,350, which is my break-even point. Now I paid $125 to the transmission shop, plus my time fixing the brake lines, plus my fees at the auction originally. So I ended up taking a loss on this car. I ended up losing a couple $100. And this is a good example of how the business is. It's not always a win. Now, I sold 5 cars and I profited a total of $3,400 today selling all the other cars wholesale, including this one. So yes, I took a loss on this. I'm not counting those other cars towards my series of $400 flipping towards a Ferrari. Like I've said before, and you can see in the business, you just have to win some more than you lose. And generally speaking, my business made a lot of money today. We ended up selling 5 cars at the auction for a great profit, and we only lost a little bit on one. And now I get to move forward. I was cashed out on that car, and I can go buy something else next week. So stay tuned to see what we come up with, because next week, the Trailblazer SS is gonna be finished. We're gonna try to sell it, and then we can go to the auction and buy some more cars to keep this series moving. Thanks for watching. Do me a favor, give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you didn't like this video. Tell me what you didn't like about this video, what I should be doing right, what I should be doing wrong, and don't forget to subscribe, which is the most important thing. Guys, I'll see y'all later. I appreciate it always. Adios.